on sheer force of will. So, when Congress thinks that they can take away everything we need to finish that degree that we have been crawling towards, they got another thing coming. Because they don't know how much people in higher education care about their education and how much they're willing to sacrifice and fight to keep it. So,
if this gets through, you're going to see your taxes go up by something on the order of $3,000 a year. That is not tax relief. That kind of an assault is going to keep a lot of people from getting advanced degrees. And if you aren't getting advanced degrees, if the future generations aren't getting advanced degrees, not only is higher education at risk, but industry is at risk, and really the entire economy is at risk. And so I'm just here to tell you that there are members of faculties all around the country who are willing to support you in this, and we will vote with you.
I would not be the 20th woman in the history of the state to be a state senator if I had not got a higher education. I would not be only the 5th black person in the history of this state to be a state senator. Power to the people. A higher education. I would not be the 2nd black woman in the history of the state to be a state senator and to grace the Capitol, yes, with such beauty and brilliance that came from Milwaukee. If it was not for getting a higher education. So I decided that even if it meant I might end up having pneumonia, that I had to come and stand for higher education because I would not be what I am. I would not be able to fight in Madison the way that I do if it had not been for a higher education. So I wanted to say to you, it's not Democrat and Republican. It's not. This right here, if we can spend $3 billion on Foxconn, how can we not make sure people can have a higher education so they can get the job?
You work so hard, you have these late hours, you have these incredibly tight budgets, you're barely making it as is, and what are they trying to do? They want to destroy the higher educational foundations of our society. Why is that? Because what's essential to higher education? What are you guys actually doing? You're promoting free thought, you're promoting critical thinking, you're promoting the foundation of democracy, literally.
To go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! This grad tax has got to go! Hey, hey! Hey, ho, ho! Ho, ho! This grad tax has got to go! Hey, hey! This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This grad tax has got to go. No education. No democracy. No education. No democracy. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This grad tax has got to go. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Right now. It's going to destroy graduate education. It's going to destroy higher education. It's going to put a burden on businesses, on every aspect of the economy, because higher education is the foundation of this country.
Kill the organizers of the March for Science. Who was at the March for Science? I am so encouraged. I am so encouraged today to see people continue to fight. It doesn't end here. You take this motivation, you take it home with you, you tell your friends, and you tell your family.
I'm doing my master's in mathematics. If this tax comes through, then I am paying taxes on $20,000 in tuition waiver. This money that I never see in my life.
Yes.
This affects everyone. When we're taxed like this, when it's a blatant tax on all of us, they're just saying that we can't have that. They're taking away our little slice of the dream. And I want to say to Ron Johnson, don't take my dream away.
So I'm a grad student, also in the math department at UWM. I teach 60 students every semester. There are 2,000 students in one class alone that learn exclusively from grad students. This tax is just one more assault on the working people. And until we organize together to stand against this assault, they will continue to take from us again and again.
I am a retired mother of two. And my daughter is a graduate student in California. My husband is a university professor. I know that people in education do not get paid a lot of money. And people who get tuition waivers need them. You do not, I'm a lawyer, you do not get a tuition waiver for going to law school. You do not get a tuition waiver for going to business school, believe me. You do not get a tuition waiver for going to med school because those are jobs that pay a lot of money. Or at least enough to pay goddamn And this is nothing more than a big poke in the eye of education.
All my life, I've decided I want to be a teacher. And I might not be able to do this anymore if this goes through. I might have to drop out. But I'm here to say that this isn't about us. This isn't about me. I teach English. I teach people how to write. I teach people to make choices. I teach people to analyze those choices, and I teach them to think. If there are no teachers left, who's going to teach our children to think? Who's going to teach all the children to think? Who's going to teach everybody? No one. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're fighting. Keep up the fight.
On a somber note, we have to reflect on who we are going to lose. And it's not going to be an even loss. It's going to be certain people whose voices have long not been heard, and who will go back into silence. And do we want that?
No! I'm from a very small working poor family that grew up in the middle of the woods. And it was always a story of getting out. It was always a story of having my voice heard. I got into a very small state school in Michigan, and then I went to Columbia College Chicago, a very expensive art school in Chicago. They gave me a mortgage worth of student debt, which is my American dream now. When I got the tuition waiver accepted full ride 5 years at UWM, I broke down and I cried in my small apartment on Chicago's north side. I called my dad. He's worked for GM for 30 years, real stoic kind of guy. He said, "How much is tuition?" He goes, "Dad," I said, "Dad, they're going to give me a tuition remission. You're going to take it away." And he started crying on the other side of the line. My dad. And I felt like for the first semester that I had finally made it. I only make, and I'll be honest with you, I only make 15 grand a year. It's the most I've ever made in a single year. Ever. And I thought I'd really made it. And to think that somebody who's making $15,000 a year has made it, and to take that away from them, and to tax them as if they make 3 times that amount, it's a miscarriage of justice.
Yes. I teach art history at UW Parkside. I was a grad student until a few years ago, and I don't know how I could have gone through it without tuition waivers. We have to recognize what they're doing right now as just one more brick in the wall of neoliberal education that they're building. This is not isolated. This is part of why 70% of all classes are taught by adjuncts. Economically, what has happened to higher education has been an absolute devastation and this is going back for decades. And if we are going to fight, not just this one bill, but this whole thing, we need to become activists, like ongoing activists. And all across academia, we have got to keep this going and ultimately, we have to recognize that as the people who make academia run, as the people who make higher education run, we as workers have the power to shut it down. And ultimately, that's what it's going to take. Shit doesn't get done unless you shut shit down. So we need to be building towards that. And this is not something that's going to happen next semester or next year. This is going to take years. But that is what we need to build in higher education if we want to win it back for the people. If we want to get to this free higher education for all students, everybody who wants to go to college can go to college, and everybody who works at college gets a good salary and benefits and health care, we need to organize as workers. We need to use our power to shut it down because they cannot run it without us. Academics, we don't like to think of ourselves as workers, in my experience, but we have to recognize that that is what we are, and that what we need is to organize our power as workers. And we need to support students, we need to do walkouts, we need to do all kinds of things, but we need to build a higher education movement.
Hi there, my name is Christy, and I am not a grad student, but I am an appreciator of education. I got my own bachelor's degree to be a teacher, and I was following in the footsteps of a mother who actually wanted to go to college and was told by her father that that wasn't necessary for her. So she saw to it that I got a college education. And so I understand how vitally important it is. And I look at the disrespect that is written into this tax bill from both houses of Congress towards grad students, those who have student loans, those who do not have an employer that provides them insurance as part of their benefits, that looks at the income of average people with or without children, with or without deductible interest, and says, you don't matter. And I look at the process that they undertook to create this monstrosity, and I think that is a microcosm of not only the content that shows an absolute disrespect for all of us here and our families, and probably the vast majority of people that we've ever known in our lives. But the process also shows that same disregard and disrespect. You're all students. You are now, or you have been before, and many of you are teachers. Would a single one of you have been able to graduate if you had turned in a piece of work that looked like that Senate bill the night you get ready to vote? No, let me hear it louder. Would you have gotten a pass on that? No! Would you pass a single student who handed you that garbage? No! We cannot accept that from them, and there is no reason to think that the bill that comes out of the conference committee is going to be any better thought out, any more respectful, any more realistic about the lives of the millions and millions of people that it is going to affect. And you'd better believe that they are going to do everything that they can to drop kick that through the goalposts with as little scrutiny as possible, because they know it's going to be terrible, and they know we're going to be angry, and they know that people are going to be hurt by it. And they're not going to want to let it be scored, and they're not going to want the numbers to get out. And that's where we have to hold them accountable every single step of the way. Woo! Yeah! Even if the grad student waiver issue gets solved, it doesn't matter. They don't respect any of us or our neighbors. So we got to stay just as engaged, even if our specific issues get addressed. There's most of them aren't going to. Solidarity! Solidarity!
I'm a grad student. If the bill passes, I will drop. I can't afford to pay the tax bill. It'll put me under the poverty line for the state of Wisconsin.
All of us will drop. That's it.
I've sent a letter to the dean of my school saying that I will do that if the school doesn't do something substantial about it. I encourage people to put pressure on Congress, but I don't think we can have any faith that a Republican Congress will do anything about the tax bill. We need to think locally, put pressure on the school as well. Right now we're all billed and remitted at 4 different rates. They're completely arbitrary, and I believe the school can do something about it if the bill does pass. But I think we need to think locally. I think everybody needs to join or form an effective union that does something. Right now, the school doesn't care about your standard of living. That's the fact of the matter. TAs at a school like University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee are paid in the bottom 10th percentile in the whole nation. Okay? Most of you aren't paid fairly. You need to start doing something about it because it's not fair and it's about to get worse.
So I'm not a grad student. I do hope to be in the next couple of years. But my sister is a grad student. She's a PhD candidate. She was one of the people doing out the guerrilla warfare, getting warm bodies or freezing bodies today, out here, getting signatures. And I talk to my sister on the phone probably once or twice a day. She would prefer less probably. But when I call her, it's always about different parts of the bill that I don't understand, and she talks to me about it. She teaches literature. She teaches freshmen at Marquette because she also has a TA. And she talks about the stuff that they write for her. She talks about the way that they think and the way that they inspire her. And she inspires me daily. So I'm out here freezing my ass off to make it so my sister can eat, so that my sister can continue to get her PhD. Woo! This is not my issue, and quite frankly, I don't have to get my grad degree. This isn't affecting me, but I am out here fighting for all of you because I'm fighting for my sister and her dreams and her beliefs and what she wants to do because she has the goddamn right to do so. Call your representatives, tell them no grad tax. No grad tax! No grad